Hello, it's Dominique. So we're starting with the envelopes, how to assemble the envelopes. So as I told you in the video with all the supply that you need, so I have these envelopes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna close them like as if I was putting a letter in the mail. So just a little bit of glue around. Don't put too much, because if you put too much it might smear and then it might glue this down. Or glue everything down. Like when you turn it here, it's going to glue the envelope down here, and you don't want that. You want just the outside of it. Okay, so you just do that to every single envelope you have. I've already done 10 of them, so here I'm doing just the 2. So I have all my envelopes. Now what you have to do is you have to put all your envelopes with the flap that you just glued on facing you on the bottom part of your envelopes. Okay, on the bottom here you have to be organized, because if you're not, you might have some that are like this and some that are like this, so you might not open the right end because we're going to cut here, so you might cut here instead of here, which is not good. And if you have some that are upside down like this or just flipped over, then when you do the punch with the half circle here, and if it's not exactly in the center and then you put it back there, it might not be corresponding to the other one. They have to be aligned. Okay, so you have to have all your flaps facing you and on the bottom of your envelopes. So what you do, you open the top. So that's why when I told you, if you have like triangle flaps for your envelopes or larger ones, whatever, you just glue them down and we're opening the other side. It doesn't matter. It's going to be, they're going to be piled one on top of the other, so you won't get to see that. And then the first one is going to be covered with pattern paper. So all you have to do is cut them all the same little strip. So here I just removed like 1/8 of an inch. Is it 1/8? Just this part that is clear here on my paper trimmer. That's how wide I want to remove it. So 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch, whatever, as long as they're pretty much all the same thing. So I've done all of them. Okay, now what you do, you're going to take one. So here I'm using this large punch because I have large envelopes. When I use smaller envelopes like these, I like to use my little punch here. And what I like is that I have this little those little lines here. I don't know if you can see. I made some marks here inside so that I have the center. So after I found the center on my sheet, which we're going to do right now, just measure and find the center of your envelope right here. So once you found the center, then I can align the center of my punch on that line, and then I can go deep, like not very deep for really tiny envelopes, a little deeper for a little bit bigger envelopes, and then more if I need more, like half of the circle. So I have those marks here I made myself, but this is on my 1-inch punch. Here I have 1.5 inch punch, and I wanted to make the marks, but because of that, unless I would remove this thing completely, I cannot put any marks here. There's nowhere to put my marks. So I decided that when I use this one, what I do is I just find the center of the first one, I try to align it. And I like to do a little less than half the circle, because if you go half the circle, the little corners here of your envelope will be fragile. So if you have less of an angle, like this, then it's not as fragile, because it's more than 90 degrees here. You have to be more than 90 degrees here. Like 90 degrees would be a square here. You have more. If you have less and then it goes like this, this is going to curl and then get damaged over the years. So what I do, because I don't have a mark here, so I'm not sure where I'm going to punch this, so I take the first one and I just take the top part of my envelopes together. See, I have this bottom, this is the bottom where we glued the flap there, now the bottom. So the top together, align them on this side and also on the edges, and I just draw, and then I punch them one at a time. That's all I do. And I use always the same one to draw the next one, because if you made a little mistake on this one and you use this one to punch the other one, and then you make another little mistake, and then you keep doing that. At the end, the last one will be very different from the first. So you need to always use the same first one to draw all of them. Okay, so I'm going to do that. You can fast forward if you want, because it's going to go here. I need to make all of them before I go to the next step. So, and I didn't want to do the other ones before, because then I wouldn't be sure about the center. So I have to do that now this way. I have 12 of them to make. So you see, the first one I always put there to make sure that I don't get mixed up, because unless you put a sign like unless you put a little like 1, this is your number 1, so then you don't get mistaken. So you have to be organized when you do that, because you can have mistakes, and it's very easy to have things not aligned. Or you could always draw them all and then punch them all. Maybe it would be a little bit quicker. Okay, so I'm all done. Now you're going to just check and see all on the top. This is the top. So all on the top right here, and nice and aligned on the edges. So you're going to see if they're all good. So as you can see, they're pretty good. Okay. And then if you have, because we've drawn with our pencil, we have to erase all those marks that are there, because we don't want to see them. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to assemble them. So there's a way to do that. And these, by the way, are craft envelopes, because they're much thicker than regular envelopes. I don't recommend that you use just greeting card envelopes to do that, because they're really thin, and that wouldn't be good. Okay, so now, so yeah, I have all your envelopes here. So you're just gonna turn them over like this. Now you're going to measure 1 inch from the edge on each side, like this. Then you're gonna make a fan. So you can see all of them. You make sure they're all nice and flush on the edges like this. And you're just going to draw a line down all the envelopes on that 1 inch measurement you took. So here you've measured 1 inch on each side of all 12 within 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So this is to show you where you need to glue your envelopes together, because it's really nice when you have them glued all at the same distance from the edges. So when you open it, you see all those envelopes are all the same. You'll see, I'll show you when it's done. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from that mark you have there, and then you stop maybe 1 inch from the bottom. You do that line here, okay, and then you go like this. And I recommend that you use wet glue for that, much quicker. Okay, so you need to be close to the edge, but not too close so that it would smear and then glue everything together. But you're going to check just in case anyway. So, but just do like this. So 1 inch from the edge here, 1 inch here, and then about 1 inch here. But this one we didn't measure, we don't need to. So what you're going to do is you're going to glue that on top of the next one. Make sure the sides are aligned and the top. So it has to be flush here, here, and here. And you check to see if your circle is good. You have to have your circles nice and aligned. Just press. Then you go check if it, see if it smears a little bit. If you don't go check, it'll dry there. Everything will dry together. So you have to go remove the extra glue that smeared there. See? Now you take these, or what you can do is you take the next one. Do the same. So you have your marks there, 1 inch, 1 inch, and then about 1 inch on the bottom. You go around here and you do all of this. And it's not important inside if you have a lot or not, because it's mostly the line around that is meaningful. So you do that to every single one of them. Do them all together. So I'll let you do that. I'll come back. But first I want to show you how to make the cards. So you keep doing that. Always align the top and the edges. Make sure it's nice and flush and your circles here. But circles, it doesn't matter as much because it's going to be all open with stuff in it. So if it's not exactly aligned, it won't show because they're going to be open like this. So no one is going to be able to go check and see if it's nice and aligned. So you do that to every single one of them. And then when you're done, you go check to see if they're all opening. You remove the excess glue that went on the corners there or on the half circle. And then you make the cards. So for making the cards, you have to make one card. Well, you have to. If you want to do it my way, you have to make one card per envelope. So I'm going to grab one envelope. I want to do it on this side so that I have half of it sticking out. So where's my pencil? So here I'm going to calculate the width that I want my envelope, whatever you want, okay? I do not recommend that you have more than half an inch. You see, when you open it, it has to fit in there. When I open it, it has to fit in there. Because you see now, my line is here. If I put my card in there, if I make it the same size as my envelope, when I'm going to open it, if you check my envelope, it's going to get smaller. So whatever you put in gets smaller. So I recommend about at least half an inch smaller than your envelope. So you cut that on the lengthwise, like this, okay? So here you have your card, like this. Then you put it in and then you decide how much you want it to stick out. So here I'm going to do just 1/4 inch. I think that's the most you can do, because other than that, the box that I'm going to give you the measurements for is not going to fit, okay? Because I'm making my box about half an inch more higher than the envelopes and higher than the cards that are sticking out here. And if you want to have like a big tab to pull the envelopes, like sometimes you have stickers like for babies, the one I made for baby girl, and I had like the 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, and all that. So it was big here. So I have to have my card a little bit smaller so that it doesn't stick out too much. If it does, you just have to make your back part of the box that we'll be making tomorrow a little higher so that the tab is still contained into the box. So I'll tell you about that tomorrow. But for now, you have to know what you're going to do, okay? So me, I'm not having these. I'm going to have just a little piece of tool or something going through the holes, so whatever. So I'm calculating just about 1/4 inch more. So what you do now, you're going to score a line. You fold it, and then whatever is excess, you have to cut it off. Just cut it off. Make sure it's nice and aligned. Just cut it off. So you make all 12 envelopes that way, okay? And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use those little cards, so I know exactly how high they're going to be. So if I put one here and I leave like a 1/16 of an inch here, then I measure about the 1/16 of an inch higher than the envelope, than the card. Then I'm going to make a score line on this one. So I can measure exactly how much that's going to be. So it's going to be 1 inch and 1/8. So this is going to fold like this. Now what you're going to do is you're going to erase this and this. You're going to glue just the edges. So this is going to close like this. So on the inside, just a fine line. This is too much glue here. Just a fine line here on the edge, and then you just have some there. Hold it and just glue that on. Then you're going to have to map everything. So you're going to map. So here I'm going to put a card here. I might have a little piece of little strip of paper here just to decorate it, and another piece of paper, whatever, you know, you can play with that. You could have made also this a little shorter if you want to put a strip of paper here, but I'm going to put a whole strip here, right here on this portion here, so might as well just do that. So you're going to do that, and then on the top here, about an inch from the edge here, could be less, an inch on each side, I'm going to use my punch. This is a 1/4 inch punch, and I'm just going to punch them in the center here and an inch from the edges. Just punch that after I matted this part, because I want to punch the pattern paper as well. Or what you could do is, if you punch them before and then you put the pattern paper, you can always use the back part that you've punched to punch the other hole. And then you do the matting here, and then you do the same thing. But I recommend you just mat this. You finish all the front, round your corners. I'm going to round my corners. And then you punch this, and then when you do the back, you punch again in the same holes. So I'm going to do one. I don't have my paper ready for that, so I don't want to be rushed into making one that I wouldn't like. But what I could do is I could just round my corners right now. This tutorial is going to be by stage because I don't have much time on my battery for my camera. I don't have a very sophisticated system for taping my videos, so I have 27 minutes or less. So that's why. So here, because I want to have an extra strip here, I could put it right here on the edge and then have a little piece there. It could be for a photo if you want to, but I'm just going to be putting it right there, because I like to put what I call my incrustations, because it's kind of little strips of paper, very delicate, that are added around either a card with a message or an image, or a photo mat. So here I'm going to do this, then I'm going to mat this, going to mat this, going to mat this. Okay, after I'm done, I'm going to remeasure, because we're going to be covering our measurement here. So we measure about an inch here. It could be 3/4 an inch, but I'm going to go with 1 inch. I want to have this much open. So the thing about this card, that because we only glue the edges here, is that you can put stuff in there. It's going to tuck in there. This is Claire from My Creative Spirit that gave me that idea. She inspired me for that. So you don't want to have those too short, like the holes where you punch, so you can put a piece of tulle or ribbon, whatever, to tie it, just for decoration. You don't want to have them too close, because then you don't have room to put anything, because they're here, so you can't put anything. So I recommend to have at least, here I have 5 inches, 4 3/4. So I have 4 3/4 inches, so that means I could put 3x4s that are a landscape, because I have 4 3/4 space between the holes. Because where you're going to put the hole is going to be tied. That means you don't have any access to put anything in there. And then after you've done that, you can mat the back and then repunch the holes where you have your holes here, where you have the back paper. That's it. So I'm going to come back, and my file is going to be all assembled, all my envelopes. My cards will be all made and show you. I'll finish one with you, because I'm going to decide the paper I want to put on it. I don't want to rush into deciding what I want to put in there. I want to really think it over. So I'm going to finish this card with you, and then we're going to start making the box. That will be next time. Okay? So see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.